What's up, YouTube? Eric here from MajorLeagueTrading.com, and we're going to take a payout together on this Lucid Flex account that I have. We ran it up over the past few days, and it is eligible for a payout. So I wanted to do that with you guys together, and then I have my stopwatch ready to go. And as soon as I click the button, I'm going to push the start on there, and we'll kind of see how long it takes for the money to actually hit my account and see just how quick Lucid's payouts are. But before we do that, let's take a look here. Ultimately, this is the account. I'll show you guys what I think is the best account with Lucid first off, which for me is going to be the Flex account. So you've got the option here between the Pro, the Flex, and the Lucid Direct. Lucid Direct's pretty straightforward. That's your straight to funded route. You can go ahead and spend 364 bucks here for a 50K, for example, and then these will be all of your rules. So for me, excuse me, I'm still dealing with a little bit of this hack from being sick last month. But for me, I think that the Lucid Direct, while yes, it is great, for the same amount of money that I would have spent on this, I was technically able to do 3 evals basically on the Lucid Flex, and then get this payout. So in full disclosure, this is technically the account. This is my second funded with them, which you can actually see that up here. That's the account number. I don't really know if I'm supposed to show that or not, if there's anything you can do with it and try and steal a couple grand from me, whatever. But that is my second funded account, and it came from my third Lucid Flex eval. So my first Lucid Flex eval, I completely bombed. My second one, I passed, which gave me my first funded account. And when I got the first funded account, I was like, yeah, let me yeet this whole thing because I have an end of day drawdown and I've got the total $2,000 worth of risk. So I put all $2 grand worth of risk into one trade. I don't advise doing that, obviously. And, essentially was looking to build like, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, get 2 or 3 R's out of the trade, and build a bunch of cushion in there, and then start working it from there. Now, again, that account obviously gone. And then the third eval, another 50K Lucid Flex, gave me the current account that we're working with and kind of talking through. So for me, like I said, I like the Lucid Flex account. The rules are pretty straightforward here. It does take at least 2 days to pass. You need a 50% consistency, and there's a little bit of lenience there. A couple of percent, so you can make like 1550 and 1525. It doesn't have to be like specifically even at 50% there. But the big thing I like is this end of day drawdown. For me, that allows me, unlike a trailing drawdown account, that allows me to just put a trade on and allow that to actually work like it would be on a real cash account, right? I'm not penalized for doing so if the trade comes back, right? If it's up, 15, 20 points and I allow it to come back 10 or 15 points, whatever the case is, right? It doesn't penalize me from an intraday trailing drawdown standpoint. Now, with that being said, there is also the other option here, which is the Lucid Pro account. Basically same rules here. Still $3,000 profit target, $2,000 loss limit, end of day drawdown. The one difference for me is that there is a daily loss limit here. And then when you are in the funded side, there is a 40% consistency, as opposed to when you move over into the funded side here on the Lucid Flex, you just need 5 days of $150. So there is no consistency there. As you can see, that is blocked off. So it doesn't really matter if essentially 90% of your profits come from one day. Obviously, shouldn't work out that way in real life trading, right? It should be a little bit more consistent. But again, there is no consistency rule here with that. Now, one of the things I will say about this, just from a pure psychology standpoint that I want to touch on for a quick second. One is, yes, you have 5 days. You need 150 bucks minimum per day. And I think that can cause sometimes some issues where it's like, okay, I'm trying to force a trade here, ultimately to try and get that $150. And I did that at one point, and we'll kind of talk through that. I didn't actually hit the 150 bucks, so it took me an extra day and we'll talk through that as well. But so that's one thing. And then the other thing, because it's an end of day drawdown, and just the way in which I think it makes the most sense for me is typically with this style of account, once I'm up a little bit of money on the day, I'm okay with risking some of that money. So like, let's say the account's at 50,000 when it was day one and we started off, and like we take a trade and now we're at 51,000. So we made $1,000, right? For me, it makes a little bit more sense to go, okay, let me risk 200, 250 bucks here. Worst case scenario, you know, I'm up 800, 750 bucks on the day, right? But if I can do that, if I can take that trade and it works, then now I might be up, you know, 1,600, 1,800, right? If I can catch, you know, 3-4 Rs on the trade. But if I wait and I take that same and I let it close out at 51,000, right? Well, now my loss is my end of day trailing now becomes a new, you know, $49,000, right? My $2,000. Excuse me. So for me, it makes more sense when I have some profits on the day to risk a little bit of that and try and continue to push me forward, so that I don't wait until the next day and have that go against my $2,000 loss limit, right? So, and that can be an interesting, can kind of be an interesting little spot to be in. And while normally, yes, I would recommend and say like, hey, once you're up on the day, like, and you've followed your plan and everything's in place, then you should probably call it a day, right? If it fits your plan specifically for this type of account, then I think that makes sense, right? So anyways, that's enough about the accounts. Let's kind of get into some of the trades here, and we'll go ahead and request this payout in just a second and see where we go from there. So as you can see, again, this is my second funded account with them. So basically I've spent roughly $300, right, to get to this stage and have my second funded. Now, my account balance, $54,412, a total of 6 trading days. You need that 5 days of minimum, 150 bucks. And when we come down here and we take a look at this, you'll see that I actually started this account on Friday and was able to pull out $894.90 on Friday, February 27th. So one thing, would I normally say, hey, you should probably start trading a funded account from an eval on a Friday? Probably not, right? It's probably not the most advisable thing to do. But in this case, I did see some opportunities, and I was like, yeah, I think the risk in here is worth being able to put at least something on, specifically in gold, and we can take a look at it. That kind of gets me to a point where I get to a little bit of cushion, right? And I can make something work with this. So I thought it was the right move. Again, normally wouldn't necessarily advise it, but in this case, it ended up working out pretty nicely for me there. Now, because of that, and also the thing that played into that a little bit, just from a pure psychology standpoint, was I need 5 days of 150 bucks. So I kind of not necessarily have to trade it, but like if I can put on a trade that at least pushes me over that 150 bucks, then okay, it counts as a day, right? So that's essentially what happened on the Monday there. So I got $87.50, and it was like I was battling this, trying to get to the 150 bucks, and it's kind of just bad, like, mental state to be in on a Monday morning, first thing, right? I've already got some profits in this account, and I need that 150 bucks, right? And I just couldn't quite get it. So I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm gonna chill. Don't really see the things in which I want to see. I'm just gonna let this be, right? So that ends up happening. Good decision on my part, right? To let that be. Now I'm gonna need an extra day, right? Instead of getting this in 5 days, I'm going to need an extra day. Here's the thing. It's totally fine. Totally fine if that is how the cookie crumbles for you, right? You don't have to hit it in 5 days. And I think that's the key piece of this. Coming up then, recouped Tuesday, killed it. $2,213.20. Now again, this is all only using just one contract on something like an S&P or Russell, a Dow, not trading a full-size NASDAQ contract, just because I don't think the risk is there for that from a risk tolerance standpoint. But yeah, all of that coming in there in 2000, so basically 50% of my profits from this account comes from that one day, right? Follow that up with a nice day after that at $801.50. Because of this, right, I was up, $3,000 on the week in this account, basically. And I had a really good last 2 days, basically the same trades in which I took in here. I took in my other accounts as well. So I decided to take Thursday off, right? I was like, I don't really care about the $150 a day thing. I'm going to go ahead and take the day off. I didn't even look at the screens and check quotes until like 2:30 something in the afternoon, right? So essentially it was a full, I'm disconnected from the screens day. I don't really care what we do type of thing. And it worked out in my favor just because of the action in which we had that day, right? So we come in, we follow that up on Friday with $254.50 here. Just did a little bit of NASDAQ scalping with some micro contracts to, again, just try and push me up over that $150 minimum there was essentially the only goal with that. And then same thing here, Monday, yesterday technically is what that was. And those were some trades in the overnight session just to kind of see if I could push myself up over that $150 number and get it done and over with from that standpoint, right? So it wasn't, yes, they were real trades. Yes, I put them on a little bit smaller size with the whole goal of just getting that $150, right? And that's where the psychology piece of that $150, the 5 days, $150, can kind of come into play there. So, again, it can be a very bad thing if like you keep pressing forward and you're down, $400, $500, $600 on the day and you're just trying to make $150. But I knew that that was the case for me on those. So I sized way down on what it is I was ultimately looking to do with that, and took it from there. So if we take a look at some of these here, you can see my largest loss was $436. That was a little larger than what I would like to have my losses. So my goal on this was somewhere in the neighborhood of about $200 to $250. It was my max loss per trade. And my thinking with this was, yes, I have $2,000 worth of daily loss limit. So in the event that everything goes wrong and I lose my next like 8 or 10 trades and somehow it's a catastrophe, that would be the only way I would blow the account, right? Is I would have to lose all, at $250, I'd have to lose all 8 of my next trades. At $200 worth of risk, I have to lose all 10 of my next trades to hit my 200 or to hit my $2,000 loss limit, right? So here's a couple of those trades from that first Friday there. We were able to pull out about $1,300 in gold. That was the big one that kind of pushed us up there. We were able to, on the second, this was that day I was like struggling. Like I tried a little Russell position here, lost a couple dollars, tried a little micro NASDAQ position, made a couple dollars, and it was like, I couldn't really get it to move the way in which I wanted. I was actually sitting in this NASDAQ position for 21 minutes here, basically, trying to get that to move, and it just couldn't do it, right? And then on the third here, we went around and around a couple different times here. You'll notice I ended up making $658 here in the Russell. And like I said, if I'm up a little bit, I'm willing to go ahead and put an additional R value on and kind of risk a little bit more capital, right? Because if I lose it on that day, it doesn't necessarily impact my max loss limit going into the next day, right? It'll come off of the open profits that I have or the realized profits I have on the day. So I ended up losing, $436 here in the NASDAQ. Again, probably should have kept that risk a little bit smaller at, around my $200 to $250 number. Nonetheless, it is what it is, and I gave back, it was only up, $250, $300 on the day, whatever at that point, right? Excuse me. And then we were able to come in, we smacked a nice trade in the micro golds because I had that NASDAQ loss, I was like, okay, let me size down. And this is a abnormally large number of trades for me on a day. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different tickers, 5 different trades. It's kind of a lot for me, right? But we were able to smack this micro gold trade here for $448. Basically made up our loss for the NASDAQ trade. And again, I used normal size on that one. So we were back in the game there, and it's like, okay, I got some profits again now on the day, and the S&P set up with a really nice trade, and I was like, okay, I can make that work, right? And we had about 4 to 5 points worth of risk on this trade, so right in that $200 to $250 number, and it smacked really nicely for $1,500 bucks. So, you know, so good for 6 hours, give or take, right? A little bit more maybe. On this trade, and that's really what set up that day, that $2,213 day there, was a lot of that came from this trade. And again, the reason being is because I was willing to press just a little bit more, given that I had those profits, and didn't want to essentially close out that day where I was. I'd rather close that day out much further, or like $200 or $300 back, right? And hopefully that makes sense the way I'm explaining that. Coming to the next day here, smacked a nice Dow trade there for $801. That was on the 4th, you could see. And then here on the 6th, right? I took that Thursday off on the 6th. Traded some micro NASDAQ contracts. You can see I was down about 86 bucks, ended up $254. So we did a little shucking and jiving there. We reduced our risk size down, right? Our P&L low was about 86 bucks. It was super close to being able to stop me out on that. And we had traded a couple different contracts, like kind of in and out, a couple little scalps with that to kind of pad the pocket a little bit is what I call it. So, I might take 2 contracts, for example, take one off for a quick little kind of 1R profit, if you will, which makes the trade essentially break even at that point. And then kind of re-add and do something like that. That's essentially what I managed to do on that day. We did trade 5 contracts. Again, these are micro contracts. And yeah, so it worked out. And then yesterday, we did a little soybeans trade, which we were able to get a nice little move out of that and able to put in a stop loss on that, a little better than break-even stop. Ultimately, that it does end up hitting the stop. And then same thing in silver as well. We were able to capture a quick little silver move, and we had like, I think 30 or 40 cents in this, and it came back, and I think I had my stops at about $1 or about 10 cents there for $100 on the micro, and it just tripped me out, obviously, and we make 78 bucks. So we're now eligible for this payout, and let's take it. Let's see. Let's see ultimately what happens here and how quickly we can get the payout in our bank. So I'm going to go over to payouts. I've never done this with Lucid. Obviously, you guys can see this is the first one that I've done. And my whole goal with this video is just to kind of give you some thoughts and psychology and inputs and things to hopefully help you with your own evals from a sizing standpoint, from a psychology standpoint, all of that. So anyways, let's go ahead and request the payout. I have no idea what's going to pop up here. I'm available for $2,000. We'll select the bank and we'll go with the full 2,000 bucks. And we'll go ahead and click request. I'm going to click the start button. So we got the timer running. It says status is pending on that. All right, so just to go ahead and wrap up this video, I did receive my payout. Money is in the bank. And we can see that payout request has now moved to the payout history here. And all in all, start to finish, we'll pull this over. So I was able to get the email, all that stuff came through at 10:41 this morning. So all in all, it was about an hour and 20 minutes, give or take, from the time in which I pushed the button for the payout, for that to be approved, sent, and then essentially in my bank basically 1 minute after that. and everything there is good to go. So if you've been thinking about Lucid and you're wondering if they pay, and the answer is yes. Again, I have not paid them anywhere near. Oh, and one thing I do want to mention, the payout amount here shows as $1,800 as opposed to $2,000, just in case anybody caught that or wanted any clarification on that. The profit split on the payouts is technically 90-10. So 10% of the $2,000 they keep, 90% of it goes to me. So $1,800 there did in fact hit the account today. So anyways, like I said, if you've been thinking about looking at using a prop firm and wondering if Lucid pays, I have not paid them anywhere near the $2,000 that I just received, or $1,800 in which I received. And I still have a good portion of profits still in this account. So if we want to take a look at that, I can go ahead and pull this up and we'll look at those details here on this one. Again, this is that same account, the 002 account. We went ahead and took that payout, and then we were able to pull another $471 today now from this account. So if all goes well, today is currently Tuesday, March the 10th. Essentially, I just need 4 more days of $150. So 1, 2, 3, potentially 4, sometime next week, give or take here. If I'm able to grow this account from $52,883 over, let's call it just like the next 8 days, by the end of next week, maybe by the end of next Friday. If we can grow that to, let's say, $54,000 and change, then as long as I have 4 days in that time period, with another $150 per day in profit, then I can request another $2,000 payout from this account, right? I'm able to request up to 50% of the account balance. So assuming that we just did the minimum and we had $150 over the next 4 days, that essentially would put another $600 in this account, which would put it at like $53,500 for easy math, right? I could now then, at that moment in time, request essentially half of that $53,500. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll leave a link and all the things down below if you guys want to go ahead and grab yourselves a Lucid Flex account. Code MLT right now saves you 50%. If you're a brand new user, saves you 40%. If you are not a brand new user, and somewhere in and around there, it's going to give you the best deal. Again, my personal is the Lucid Flex accounts. Those are going to be the ones I'm trading. And yeah. So anyways, let me know if you guys have any questions. Otherwise, hope this video was helpful. And yeah, like, comment, subscribe, all those fun things. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.